What's going on YouTube? 65 Rider here, coming back to you with the first moto vlog on the new 2020, or new to me I should say, 2020 Road Glide Special. You guys might have noticed I haven't put out videos in a while, ever since the announcement, if you've watched the last one. And there's a reason for that, honestly, because I didn't want to do any moto vlogs until I got the bike to a state where I wanted it to be. And now it's pretty much there. So yeah, so we'll do this moto vlog and we'll actually go ahead and do a walk around of the bike and all the upgrades that I did to it. I can tell you one thing for sure, this is by far my most favorite bike that I've ever owned. I've owned 3 bikes previously, including the Street Bob, and this is by far knocks them all out of the park. No joke. Now of course I had to do a bunch of things to this bike to get it where I want it to be. A lot of time, a lot of money. Was spent on the bike. But I can tell you it's so comfortable and it just feels right, you know. Funny enough, last week I actually did a 400-mile round trip on this bike. On Friday of last week I rode from West Palm Beach, Florida all the way up to Orlando and back on the same day. I had a work meeting up there and I was like, might as well take the bike, you know. And I did, and I'm so glad I did, and this thing performed amazingly. So before we get to the park where I'm gonna do a quick walk around of all the upgrades, let's talk about what we have going on right here. So as you can see, these are not your average everyday Road Glide bars. This is actually the first upgrade that I did when I got the bike. Literally the day I got the bike, like 3 days later, I went ahead and ordered this entire setup from Thrash and Supply because this was the look that I'm going for. And as you notice, my Road Glide Special is all blocked out, but I decided to go with the chrome riser and the chrome bars and the chrome gauge relocation, as well as the raw top tree that Thrash and Supply provides. I did not want to go ahead and do an install video when I did this. I can tell you guys I did it myself, and to prove it I'll throw a couple of pictures up here of the build. But I didn't want to go ahead and do a video because Thrash and Supply already puts out a really good video that walks you kind of step by step on what you need to do. Shout out to those guys. That video really walked me through how to get this done, and I've never swapped handlebars ever before on a Road Glide. Now my total rise is, I got the 9.5 pullback riser, and I got the high bend bar, which is 5.5. So total rise is 15 inches. For my height, I'm 6'5", as you guys know. It's okay. It's not, you know, I still would love to go a little bit higher. And the reason is because with the Thrash and Triple Tree, it actually drops it down about an inch compared to the stock location. So what I did was I actually ordered the Thrash and 1-inch riser extensions. They should be here sometime this week, and we'll go ahead and put those on and then do an extensive review of these bars after I put them on. So I decided to go with their top clamp right here in black, because I feel like it matches the controls really well. They also offer it in chrome, and they offer it in black with the black logo up there, but I wanted to go this way because that way I can, you know, highlight the little logo over here, and it kind of matches the whole chrome setup. Looks really good, you guys, and these bars are a night and day difference compared to the stock. I don't know if you can see in the mirror right here, but yeah, basically it's a little bit under shoulder height for me when I'm extending my arm, but also you got to take into consideration what type of seat you have. Along with the bars, as you can see, I went ahead and paired it with the chrome Kahuna grips from Harley Davidson, or as I like to call them, the CVO grips. I think these are the ones that come on the CVOs. I like the way they look, and they complement the chrome so nicely. And to be completely honest with you, they're really comfortable. I like my grips to be a little thick. I have big hands, and these are pretty thick. And then over here, which you'll see it right here, this notch is where my middle finger kind of sits. So whenever I'm riding, it puts it in a very comfortable riding position. Up top, and when we stop, we'll take a look at it even more. But up top right here, you'll see I have the Memphis Shades 8.5 windshield. Initially, when I first bought the bike, the previous owner had I believe it was a 6.5 Clockworks. That one looked really good. It just did not work for me. Hold on, let's do a rip. Yeah, man, this bike feels really good. So yeah, like I was saying, that didn't really work out for me, because, you know, seeing as I'm 6'5" and I got a lot of buffeting, so I decided to go with the 8.5 inch. But in reality, what I should have done was actually go with the 10 inch, because whenever I'm on the highway and stuff, you know, going highway speeds basically, I'm still running into a little bit of a buffeting issue. Well, I wouldn't say buffeting, I would just say it's a lot of wind hitting me in the head, and a little bit of buffeting. Sure, you can say that. But I feel like with the 10 inch, that would be eliminated. Still a night and day difference compared to the Clockworks. No lie there. I just initially didn't go with the 10 inch because it looks really bulky, and I just didn't want to have that look, you know. This setup right here, you guys, really complements the bike, especially if you decide to, you know, shell out the price for it and actually go with the top tree. It cleans it up so well. Look at this, like no wires hanging, the gauge looks perfectly. I mean, this is pretty much my view right now, so my screen is not obstructed whatsoever, and I can see everything. All right, as for now, let's go find our way to park close by the house, stop the bike, and do a quick walk around of all the upgrades that I've done to it.
A few moments later.
Alrighty, so we made it to this little park by the house, and yeah, boys, here she is. Here she is in all its glory. It's the 6.5 Glide, baby. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start up at the front right here, and as you can see, one of the recent things that I've did was actually get rid of the front fender because I really hated the way it looked, and I went ahead and put on a carbon fiber fender that kind of really complements the look of the bike. This is the Sly Fox carbon fiber fender for the touring models. It was such an easy install, but as you can see, like, it really changed the way this bike looks. So I'll throw a picture of what it looked like up here right now so you can see versus what it looks like now. So much better. That also actually complements the carbon fiber that's in the back of the gauge relocation for the thrash and supply bar. So you can see, really complements it. Previous owner, he put the center console on, and this is the Hoffman Designs, but honestly you can't tell a difference between that and that. It's like the same pattern carbon fiber, same glossy finish, and it looks really good. So The front really complements the center of the bike. I don't have any carbon fiber in the back, not yet anyway, but I feel like the carbon fiber kind of matches my Geezer Engineering rear shocks, which, let's move on to the back of the bike. So in the back of the bike, I have the Geezer Engineering rear shocks. I got them in the 13-inch. Eventually, the plan is to, whenever I do the front, I'm going to go ahead and buy the 1-inch extension for the shock to raise it up to 14-inch and then do a +2 in the front. I didn't do that just yet, just because, you know, one thing at a time. So as you can see here, these little openings, I did get rid of the tri-bar that actually goes down here, just because I didn't like the way it looks, and because I switched over to the shorter bags. As you probably noticed, this is a special, but it has short bags, and the reason is because I got the 2-in-1 exhaust, and it just looks way better like that without the little cutouts. So what I ended up doing is, one of my friends has a Road Glide Limited, and me and him just swapped bags. But as you can see, this cleans up the back really well. Moving on to the center of the bike, I went with the D&D Bobcat exhaust, the 2-in-1. Exhaust performs really nicely. It sounds really good. We'll do a future video reviewing it, but I do want to put at least 1,000 miles on it before giving you guys my thoughts. I've had it on for like maybe 600 miles now, so we'll talk about it in the future. One thing that did annoy me is I was kind of forced to go with the black tip for the muffler instead of having it all chrome, and that's because unfortunately the supplier that does it for D&D no longer had the chrome finish for the mufflers, so I kind of had to stick with either this or the carbon version, and the carbon was matte instead of glossy like I do have in the front, so that's why I decided to stick with the black. But one of the reasons I want this exhaust is because it's one of the only few in the market that actually does a 2-in-1 that's fully chrome. And I don't know if you guys knew my vision for this bike, but my vision was to go black and chrome. Just keep it simple. Even though this is a blacked out Road Glide Special, you'll tell by the black forks up front, I still wanted to do some touches of chrome, black, silver, and carbon. So moving on to the center of the bike right here, you'll see the 114 cubic inch Screaming Eagle ventilator air intake, and I'll throw a picture here of what the 2020 stock intake looks like. I hated that one so much. It really ruined the look of this bike, and I actually really like the way this looks. I put this on my Street Bob as well in black, and so I decided to go with the same intake on the Road Glide as well, but I wanted it to be in chrome, so I ended up actually hitting somebody on Facebook Marketplace that was selling it, and they barely used it, and they sold it to me, and I ended up installing it. Now you're asking yourself, do I have a tuner on this bike? Yes, I do. If you change the exhaust, if you change your air filter, you have to also change the tuning of the bike, recalibrate it, because now you're getting more air into the mixture and you have less fuel coming in, and so you have to recalibrate it. So I actually went with the Power Vision 4, which is installed on the bike. Shout out to Fuel Moto, who hooked me up with a specific tune for my setup, and so far so good. Moving on here, as you can see, I don't have the 2020 badge. I went ahead and used the CVO badge for the Harley, and of course, you know it, I went with the chrome color. Really complements the way the bike looks. Moving on to floorboards, you know I had to go with the cross-thread cycles because that's what I had on the Street Bob, and I really enjoyed them. I liked them. I didn't have any complaints. If you didn't see my review on the mini floorboards, check it out in the corner up here. But yeah, I went with the cross-thread cycles for the passenger pegs and the floorboards. These are their 2021 model. That's what it's called, the 2021 model. And as you can see, as opposed to the one I had on the Street Bob, it doesn't have the little spikes. I didn't care for this bike, so I actually like this like raw finish. So yeah, as mentioned, I went with the raw. Unfortunately, living in Florida with a lot of rain, a lot of humidity, you'll see a little bit of rusting here in the bolts, but that should be cleaned out hopefully. I also went with their brake arm and their shift arm on the other side, which I'll show you guys in a sec. But in order to do that with this exhaust, I actually had to get a 1-inch extension. I don't know if you guys can see it over here. I actually had to extend the floorboards out because it was touching the exhaust. And it's more comfortable for me this way, to be honest. You'll notice here, I went with the Zero 3D highway peg mount, and this is the frame mounted version. So instead of it being on the crash bar, it's actually mounted to your frame, and it kind of comes out this way where it's like super adjustable. No complaints about that. I'll do a separate video specifically talking about these. Let's go to the other side and take a look at the shifter. So as mentioned, I also changed out the shifter arm and the shifter peg. Also from Crossride Cycle, shout out to them. You can tell like the finish, it's so good over here, except for this damn rust on the bolts, which I need to figure out. Again, on this side, I had to push it out a little bit. Finally, the seat. This is the cherry on top for it all. This is the Bad Boy Cycles Freedom Series. I have no complaints about this seat whatsoever. Maybe I have 1 or 2 gripes with it, but not really complaints that I will share in my review video. Again, I've only put about 600 miles on this, but I can tell you it's literally one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat on. These are actually 2 separate. You got the rider seat and then you got the passenger pillion. I just put it on today because I wanted to show you guys what it looks like. I usually ride without it. If I'm doing a longer distance trip, I have the insert for the backrest as well. But I wanted to show you guys what it looks like with the passenger seat. I'll tell you one thing as a testament to this seat. On Friday when I did my trip to Orlando, when I left the house, the next time I stopped to actually fuel up and, you know, stretch my legs a little bit was 185 miles later. And I felt okay. 100% okay. But yeah, let's jump back on the bike and wrap this video up, you guys. Well, there you have it, folks. Here's my new to me 2020 Road Glide Special. I really love this bike, and again, going back to the bars, man, like these bars really make me control the bike. Like, it allows me to kind of throw it around like it's a, look at this, like it's a tiny bike, like it's not even an 850 pound beast, you know. Feels so good, you guys. Like quick, tight ass U-turns, you know what I mean? So good, so good. So, you know, big shout out to Thrash and Supply for making such a good product. But yeah, so like I said, this is just the beginning. This is how I kind of envisioned the bike to look. You know, even before buying it, I wanted to do that black and chrome look, just because black and chrome is timeless, you guys. And you know, it looks really good. And so now that it's in a state where I'm actually really comfortable with it and I like the way it looks, I don't anticipate any additional upgrades for the time being, at least until probably next year. You know, when I say next year, I mean 2024. It's already got a stage 1 right now with the Power Vision 4 tuner, the D&D Bobcat exhaust, and the high flow ventilator air intake from Harley Davidson. So I don't know what numbers it's kind of throwing out right now, but you know, maybe we'll get it dynoed to see what numbers there are. But otherwise, man, this bike is perfect, and it's exactly how I want it for now. Next upgrades, future upgrades, you know, I'm thinking definitely want to get a cam on this thing. Because even as quick as it is, it's still a really heavy bike at 850 pounds, and me being a bigger dude, I'm 265 pounds. I mean, you're putting a lot of weight on this little motor for it to actually go like I want it to. So I think that'll get resolved with throwing a cam on there, and that'll help it. But I probably won't do that until sometime next year, and then get a dyno tuned and all. But for now, man, I'm just gonna, you know, enjoy this bike, ride as much as I can with it, do some, you know, some long distance trips, and you know, like, I mean, just enjoy it. One thing that I do want to do, like, almost immediately, especially since I've done the back suspension now, is front suspension. And I want to go +2s up front because, again, I'm a tall guy, and I'd rather my bike be taller. But yeah, man, if you stuck around through the whole thing, I apologize for not putting out videos for a really long time. But now that the bike is in a state where I want it to be, we'll be doing more videos for sure. And stay tuned for some install videos of some of the parts that I did on the bike. Thank you guys, really appreciate you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.